I think there's seasons in this business. Like you did you're a perfect example, right? Because at the very beginning of this, you're like a bull in a china shop, right? It's like, dude, I'm just going to go get paid. And that's what you have to do. Like, how much more activity can you do in a day, right? And you just throwing it down. You know what I mean? And that's season one of sales in general. It's just like, get in, get your hands dirty, and get out. I think people are so scared to fail, it pushes them to fail. You know what I mean? Like, I got to know this first. I got to go that first. But here's the thing, right? 30 minutes a day adds up. So, like, I tell everybody, I'm like, look, 30 minutes a day with sales training, 30 minutes a day with product training, and then the rest of your day is all work, right? And so it's like, dude, if you get up an hour earlier, you can do 30 minutes of product training, whatever you're in, car sales, real estate, whatever it is, do at least 30 minutes of product training, do some sort of sales training, and then the rest of the day is just activity. And that's got to be outside of what I call talking hours, right? Because if you're, and that's what baffles me. Luckily, I'm not a sports guy, right? Because it baffles me when, like, I have a few agents that come out and they're like broke as hell, dude. But they'll go and you'll see them at the football games and the baseball games. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And they're like, I got to support my team. I'm like, bro, you got to support your family first. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly, man.
So it's like, I think knowing the seasons, and that's the thing is like, so I've worked with different companies at once, but that's at the point where I didn't really need an upline because I never had one, right? So it was confusing to me when I teamed up with you guys, because I was like, that's why when I started working with Gage, I was like, man, hats off to him, because which is funny is like, I told Shannon, I was like, dude, Gage is the best upline I've ever had, but I didn't need him. You know what I mean? It was like, I was at the point, but hands down, like for real, Gage is hands down the best upline I've ever had in this business. And like, that's why I have no sympathy for anybody that fails in this business, and no sympathy for people that, you know, we have people that want to wait for X amount of carriers. And I'm like, and that's really why I wanted to bring you on for my first one, is because it's like, it's kind of like, you know how I am. I like to pop people in the face and be like, dude, you're the reason that you suck. You know what I mean? You're the reason you're broke. We're always the reason that we are in the position we're in. And it's like the second you take ownership is the second that things can change. Because and that's why I get into arguments a lot about like other things, is it's like, dude, if you're the victim, you can't fix it. You know what I mean? Like victim mentality is so contagious. But I stay away from it, because if you ask me hey, this is what happened, and I'm like, okay, you should have done this. No, but they weren't going to buy. It's like, dude, no, hold on. Let's draw it back. And I think like the biggest flaw is that salespeople get their analysis paralysis by analysis. They want to know everything before they can move, and they don't take ownership of it's like, dude, you suck. Right? Like, but the good news is I can fix suck. Yeah. I can't fix you being a victim. You know what I mean? Right. So it's like, exactly. I think my biggest tip to new agents is like, once you think you've done enough activity, double it. You know what I mean? And then take ownership of everything, because I think that this business is so simple. As long as you're willing to put the effort in, the work in, and that's sales in general. Like, dude, sales is not hard. If you have a true understanding of people, if you're genuinely curious about people, like, dude, sales is easy. And I think that, like I said, that's when I got really good, is when I started investing in myself and realizing, wait, all the top sales trainers tell you to do question-based selling, right? And it's like, okay, that's when it clicked for me, is because I was always trying to tell and like, hey, look at this cool stuff. Look at this cool stuff. And I was selling based off of things that I thought were cool, but no one buys what I think it's cool because I'm not cool. You know what I mean? It's like, so
that's a good point too. That makes me think, Boutte, is when I started too, when I would be trying to help these folks, and even I remember it was even like a little small $75 a month AP or something like that. And obviously you're breaking down these people's budget and things like that and making sure they can afford it. And these people, you know, they had money, they could have afforded that. But in my head, I'm thinking I would never pay $75 for $10,000 whole life. But I didn't understand it, and I didn't understand it. You know, so like, don't put yourself in their position and try to think that the client in whatever you're selling is thinking the same way as you, because maybe they understand the product more, maybe they understand what it does, especially when you're starting out new. I think a lot of people get in that habit. I know I did, and as you progress, you move forward. But don't just assume that because you wouldn't pay $75, $100 for whatever product that they're the same way. Maybe your priorities are in a different spot or whatever the cases may be. But as you learn whatever you're doing, you have to believe in whatever product you're selling too, right? I mean, unless you work at McDonald's, you don't really have to believe in a McChicken to sell a McChicken. But like, if you want to be profitable and successful in any sales, you really have to believe in the product that you're selling, or you have to be a really good con artist or a liar or whatever, one of the two. But I did want to touch back on this because I think when you originally asked me this question, my mind kind of went off on a tangent because I'm like a freaking squirrel. But what my schedule looked like. What'd you say, Booty? Oh, you're good, bro.
No, the dog was in here still, so I'll just cut that out if you want to start that. She was like nudging me. I was like, "Stop, dude!"
Kicking her, like, get away from me. But when I started, man, what a schedule looks like, and this is what I think we've really gotten away from, is really setting those expectations. And nobody had to tell me to do this. I did this because, like I said, it was figure this out quickly and know that this is going to be for me, or okay, that wasn't for me, and move on somewhere else. When I started, I'm telling you, I worked a minimum for 60 hours a week for at least the first 2 months. I already started working a little bit less after that, but I was very consistent for my first 4.5, 5 months. I was really, really consistent, working 50 plus hours a week minimum. And, and there was weeks in there or months in there where I was doing, even when I first started. My first couple months, I did right around 20K. My third month, I was over, and every month after that, I just keep going up, 25 into 30K, things like that. So I was making money, and I could have easily have been like, okay, it's time to take the foot off the gas and go and take a trip somewhere. But, I kept it moving. I kept going because that momentum building is such a powerful thing, and it really came to a point where it didn't even really feel like work anymore. I really started enjoying what I was doing, and I definitely enjoyed the deposits I was getting. But I think that people don't understand, when you first come into this, I tell people all the time, and I think it goes in one ear and out the other. Your first 3 months minimum should be nothing but just immersing yourself in whatever business you're in, getting it figured out, and just, being intentional about it. And that's where a lot of people lack in this is they get a couple good paychecks and they're like, oh, I got this shit. It's so easy. And then, they take a break and they get chargebacks. And then the next thing you know, they're drowning. It's that's just kind of how the cookie crumbles. But, I continue to keep it moving, keep that consistency. And as you continue to move on in this, I was having a conversation with a guy here the other day. He'd been in this business for like 14 months, and he was struggling. And I'm like, well, let's look at the bigger picture here. You've had some good months. You weren't doing very good. You had some good months. You took a copious amount of time off. You got some of that momentum back. You were doing pretty good, and then you took another large